We're starting the video in the truck today, so you already know we're making moves. Today we are looking at a mechanic special. We're gonna go ahead and do a block test. I typically try to stay away from these at all costs. Hopefully we don't have a blown head gasket, because most of them are usually scams that people tried to fix before and realize it's a big issue that they are going to avoid at all costs and sell it and pass it on to the next owner. I don't know, guys. That being said, we're going to look at a BMW. Hopefully it's not as bad as I think it is, and maybe we'll score another winner to redeem ourselves from my first video where we failed fixing up a BMW. I do have a little bit of faith in this listing isn't a complete scam because the seller posted the full invoice of everything that the car needs, and I'm pretty sure I can fix all those things myself. We're headed there now. I'm Macho, this is Macho Motors. Let's score ourselves a winner.
We went to the mechanic because it got this, he had this overheating issue.
This car?
Yeah, that's the thermostat. That was
Did the car ever overheat or no?
never.
But it just got high up there?
Yeah, I think you got it.
Go ahead.
There.
Can you, does it hold up or no?
It doesn't always, so I'll hold it.
And it's cold, right?
Yeah, I haven't done any.
How long does it take to start overheating that you know of?
Well, the mechanic is like 5 miles from here,
Okay.
so it's at least that.
I don't see any wetness from the thermostat, but is it a trustworthy mechanic that you're aware of?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
if anything, like they do good work. They charge, but they sometimes they overdo.
Okay, we got quite a few lights on the dash. And the AC work that you...
AC's really good.
Good.
It's always never been.
It says it has a thermostat and a misfire. Let's see if we can hear. It sounds smooth to me. And this guy has just tons and tons and tons of receipts of work he's done. So I think it is going to be a good mechanic special car. Currently leaving the driveway and I can already hear the suspension. I can already hear it's very clunky. Not even going over any bumps or anything. We're gonna take it for a short little test drive, but the engine sounds really healthy. I always like to do a quick pull just to see how it feels at high RPMs. Very, very smooth acceleration. I think this is a winner. So far, this is seeming like a winner. I don't wanna get too excited, but right now, everything about the car, but minus the suspension and the brakes, are very smooth. Calm down. Calm down. Let's not get too excited. Let's not get too excited. Look here. Oh, it pulls so good. Surprisingly, all the windows work, and I am not testing the sunroof. I do not want to get caught with the sunroof open right now. But still not overheating. We've been driving for around 2-3 minutes and everything still looks good. The guy said it overheats depending on how low the radiator is. So he filled it up and we're all good right now. Every time you press on the brakes, I can hear the suspension clunking. Tires are a little low in the rear, but they have a lot more tread here on the front set. I think this is going to be a huge winner to the point that I'm not even going to negotiate. I'm going to give him his asking price, and hopefully we just didn't screw ourselves over. But only cosmetic defect is this front bumper, which looks really, really crusty, held on by a lot of drywall screws, but let's seal this deal. So here I am abruptly entering the video to tell you guys to head over to macho-motors.com to pick yourselves up t-shirts, keychains, stickers, whatever else we have there, because this is the last month that we will be selling Macho Motors merch. Check the link in the description for 20% off your entire order. Thank you again for being a part of this journey. And here is the first look of the mechanic special BMW 325 Ci. Front bumper is looking real crusty here. I most likely will get a replacement if we can find a color matched one. Overall, the rest of the body does not look too bad. I see that this is starting to pop out a little bit, so they did the classic drywall screw trick to hold it on. And one thing I am just realizing now that's kind of a bummer, this wheel is different than all the other wheels. So maybe they had a flat tire or something. This side of the body looks pretty good overall. Needs a little bit of a cleaning. Checking out the trunk, so hopefully we have that wheel that is missing. And I can't tell. And unfortunately we do not. That is a completely different wheel. So that sucks. It means we gotta either find the one wheel or find a full set of the BMW wheels. So I gotta hit up my BMW friends. And most importantly, underneath not crazy rusty overall, especially with them BMWs. These BMWs always rotted out, so I'm really, really happy to see it in overall pretty good condition, especially with being on the East Coast. And under the hood, we have 2 blown hood struts that aren't holding anything up. And we have a very, very dusty motor, but luckily it still has all the beauty covers. But let's start unloading it so we can start getting to work. And I just updated a lot of the stuff on my trailer, like new straps, new winch hardware here. So towing things have been very smooth, much more reliable. We have to tie down the steering wheel so that way it doesn't turn while we're towing it, because it's a rear wheel drive car. The front wheels will be on the floor. So if you don't do this, it'll start to turn on you once you make a turn. Ask me how I know that happens. It's been a learning experience towing cars, but we didn't make that mistake this time. Can release the steering wheel. I don't know if I said it already, but yes, this BMW has 94,000 miles. Crazy low mileage. Starts up beautifully, but of course we have wide assortment of Christmas lights on here. So let's take it to the driveway and get to work. So the previous owner was nice enough to give me this stack of receipts of everything that he's done to the car, which we're gonna run through very quickly just to see a quick total. Power steering pump and serpentine belt for $802. Rear shock absorbers, $734. Both rear lower control arms for $646. Intake runner control, $649. A fuel line, $277. Engine mounts, fixing an exhaust leak, $1,044. Starter motor, $1,223. Coolant reservoir, $564. I've replaced the coolant reservoir tank on this car before. Maybe, if you're really taking your time, 30 minutes. $564 for a $300 reservoir tank, which I don't believe, and $220 for labor. That is ridiculous. The reason why we got this car for so cheap, he received an invoice for over $3,500. So he thought it's best to just sell the car than to repair it. We're going to hopefully fix this mechanic special for way under that and hopefully have a really good deal for a 94,000 miles, 2006 BMW 325 Ci. So on the invoice that the previous guy received, it said it needed both front lower control arms, which I believe every time we press on the brakes, we hear a little bit of clunking. It said it also needed a new thermostat and a new oil filter housing gasket. From first inspection, here is the oil filter. And yes, it is oily, but it could just be coming from the oil filter seal at the top, or it could even be coming from the power steering because that's super oily and wet. Even this banjo bolt here, that's connecting whatever this part is to whatever it's connecting to. Also, it stated that it needed a new thermostat because it was leaking, but I'm not seeing a leaking thermostat. So not sure if the guy was lying or maybe he was just misdiagnosing the issue, but we got a few things to take off to give us more room and access to figure out the problem. Starting with the first issue, I can already see this air hose is already loose, which could have caused a vacuum leak, which could also be the reason for our misfire. Not 100% sure. So let's take off this air box, this, and get a better view of the car. 2 bolts holding on the air box. And this should just come out, yep. Now's probably a good time to check out the air filter. Not terrible, but definitely could use a replacement, so we're gonna replace this as well. Add that to the list of parts that we need. And now with a slightly better view, I still don't see where the coolant is leaking from, and I think they might be right about the oil filter housing because there's tons of oil here. Probably best to check it out anyway because those are prone to leak. Part of me wants to just trust this mechanic and hope that he did everything right, but also part of me thinks he might be scamming this guy. I don't know, I guess keep removing stuff and see what we find. They're definitely right about the oil filter housing. Definitely not looking great. Luckily, I believe this might be the only oil leak that we have on a BMW, which is kind of crazy. Next day with the mechanic special BMW, we have parts in. It's a beautiful day outside, so let's take advantage of it and get straight to work. So we have a lot of taking off to do, starting off with this radiator fan, the serpentine belt, and a whole bunch of other accessories. I had to go digging for this ancient tool. I've used it a while ago, but this is a BMW E46 or E36 fan clutch removal tool. You're gonna get one end onto the actual fan assembly, and then this piece goes onto the actual water pump to stop it from spinning. Please just break loose. I think it's righty-loosey, and it is now loose, so we should be able to just spin the fan out. Now we finally can take out the fan assembly, which looks really crusty, and the fan clutch also very crusty. Feels smooth though. I don't feel any like play or anything in the bearing, so I think we will reuse this. Here's a better look of the thermostat. Here's the thermostat right here. I can see a little bit of buildup right here, but you can tell down here we are sure leaking something. That is a thick layer of oil or dirt or mix of everything. All right, now we're going to take off this serpentine belt, and I believe this pulley and that pulley keep getting to work. Start by removing the serpentine belt. Now we have to take off a few pulleys, which is a good time to make sure that they're not making any noise. Remove this super long bolt. Going in to remove the tensioner right here. I think it's held on by 2 bolts. I wish I caught it on camera, but this hood strut just started with a hissing noise, and then suddenly the whole entire hood completely fell. So I think this went from like almost done to completely done just now. So luckily we just received the package, so we can go ahead and replace it. We got 2 new no name brand hood struts going in. Got a longer pole to hopefully protect me for when this thing falls on me. Okay, got this out. And this broke right off. A few seconds of work, get the new one. I like to pop on the bottom one first, just because it's a little bit easier. I mean, a little bit harder to get to. And got the top. We're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. And I guess we know it works. But these were factory BMW ones, so maybe these were original, but it was so weird. I heard it hissing from right here in the bottom, and then suddenly the hood kind of just collapsed. Luckily I wasn't in the way. A little scary. Moving back onto this job, we still have the alternator to remove to get to the oil filter housing bolts, which I believe is the last thing we need to remove. But first, I forgot to disconnect the battery, so gonna do that now. Oh, look at that. And now an even better look at how crusty our oil filter housing is. Just caked in so much oil. Even back here, you can see tons of oil pulling up. So pretty sure they were right about their diagnosis of the oil filter housing. And then we have to just disconnect this hose, which I'm gonna disconnect it from here because I wanna replace the washers on here just in case if this was a culprit of the leak, and also the bottom one as well. Now the oil filter housing should just come right out. Okay, I'm sure I'm missing some bolt somewhere for the power steering pump, but it just doesn't want to come loose. It's extremely loose, but it's still connected to the oil filter housings. I don't want to deal with this anymore because we have plenty of clearance to clean off this gasket and put on the new one, even cleaning up this area here. So I can definitely feel like this gasket is completely toast. Like there's no lip to it at all, and it's extremely flat, especially up here on this part here. I'm gonna stuff this up with rags, get to cleaning this area a little bit. And it's not like anybody's gonna see this, but makes me feel better, I guess. I don't really know why I'm cleaning this right now. Have a pan underneath, got brake cleaner in hand. Some really weak pressure coming out of this brake cleaner. And after about 10 minutes of cleaning, here's what we're working with. Looks better, but you know, not really any point. Nobody's ever gonna see this. But we do have the new part right here, so let's go ahead and install this, put it all back together. Got both mating surfaces super clean. Going back in with the new oil filter housing gasket. And just making sure that all the bolts are going in nice and smoothly. So that is now loosely put back together. Now we're still here. I'm gonna clean the outside of the oil filter housing. Once again, don't know why, but it just feels good to know that the leak is gone, hopefully. Everything partially cleaned up. We have new banjo bolts on this one and new banjo bolts on the rear way back there. I don't know if you can see it. We have the power steering put back together. We have all the bolts torqued down. Now, before we go in with the alternator, I thought I might as well do the thermostat now that we're here. I feel like we have more room, even though it's the same amount of room with or without the alternator. That's just how my brain is working. So let's get this old thermostat removed and start putting in the new one. Now with the two hoses disconnected and the one connector, we just have one more bolt, like so. And I'm pretty sure it's the gasket that fell, not actually the thermostat. So you can get a new gasket for this and just put it back on. The gasket here has no lip at all, versus this top side here still has a lip. Can still feel it with my finger. I just bought the whole thermostat because why not? Why not replace the whole thing? It's cheap enough to do it anyway. And instead of replacing it with the same exact OEM style thermostat, we're gonna upgrade it to an aluminum one. Over time, these have a chance to crack because you have hot coolant flowing through it, then it gets cold and then hot. So sometimes the actual housing will crack. Obviously with aluminum, you won't have that issue. Going in with this new one, which comes with a new gasket. And there's a few spots with a little bit of buildup. So I'm gonna go in with some 2000 grit sandpaper just to clean it off, nothing crazy. It's feeling nice and smooth and clean now. So we're gonna go back in with our new upgraded thermostat. I wasn't smart because I was using this little holder as my bolt holder. We got one that fell through, unfortunately. Hopefully this works. Nice. Ooh, let's not do that again. And new thermostat is officially in. BMW has these coolant hoses that has this like metal clip to it. And then once you have it on, all you have to do is give it a little push. Listen for that click. And now the coolant hose is on. Don't got to worry about anything else from there. And then I went ahead and cleaned up the alternator because I don't know, I'm just in a cleaning mood, I guess. So let's put this back on. Oh, camera down. It really sucks that it gets dark so early, but I want to finish this up so that way tomorrow we can take it for a test drive, see if it still overheats or leak oil. If everything's good, then tomorrow we can work on the lower control arms. We got the spotlight out. We're just gonna get to work. After a little bit of a struggle putting back on the serpentine belt, we have everything put back together. I was tired of my cleaning stage, so we still have a really filthy power steering pump reservoir. The new thermostat is looking nice and shiny in here, and hopefully we have no more oil leaks. I really wanted to lock in and finish this up today because for the rest of the week, it's just gonna be rainy and cold. And unfortunately, we are driveway mechanics. All right, let me go ahead and act like it's the next day and it hasn't actually been like a week or two. It is the next day. We have some parts in, starting with an air filter because our last one was pretty filthy. And we're going with Bosch because that's the German brand. Super simple, just a whole bunch of clips. Should just pop out. Now out with the old crusty dusty, in with the new. New air filter in. And the next thing we're going in with a brand new Man's oil filter and oil filter gasket. Nice, quick and easy oil change going in with an extremely large 36 millimeter socket. Oh, and got it loose. I should definitely be wearing gloves for this, but raw dogging it. Simple like that. Going in with the new filter. We have this rubber gasket that goes right here. It took me a minute, but I got it. And now with the new O-ring, I have a little bit of oil on my fingers, so just gonna help lube it up a little bit. Good and tight. And now we're going back in with a whopping 6.9 quarts of full synthetic 5W30. Never understood why these engines take so much oil. You can't just buy a 5-quart jug and just pour it in. You gotta buy a quart and then some. And perfect timing too because the oil change was due. Okay, as far as the oil side of things, we have a brand new oil filter housing gasket down there, new oil filter O-ring, brand new copper washers for the banjo bolt here and the one way back there. So I feel like we touched every single component that deals with the oil in this area, so the chances of us having a leak should be low. And then as far as coolant, all we did was the thermostat, and we haven't even topped off the fluid yet. But we will do that shortly as soon as we check how the car runs. Bringing life back into the car. All right, first start with the car. A little bit of a shaky start. And I'm guessing I forgot to reconnect something because we already have a check engine light. And she's running a little rough. But to be completely honest with you, it's hard to see any leaks on this car with just so much stuff in the way, especially with the oil filter housing gasket being like down there. I'm gonna just put cardboard underneath it, let it sit for a little while, and finish putting everything back together and filling up with coolant. The car is now up to temp, but it's still not getting cold out of the vent. So I'm gonna open up this bleeder screw. We got quite a bit of steam coming out of the bleeder screw, which could either be a really good thing or a really bad thing. Not too sure in the moment, but engine sounds really healthy, and I haven't seen any leaks on the ground. And the heat is finally starting to get a little bit warmer, so I think we're on the right track. BMWs are always a little bit finicky with the bleeding procedure. With the radiator hose being collapsed like that, I just want to make sure that we do not have any issues bleeding out this car. We got it on the incline because my driveway inclines that way, so we turned it around, and we have it on ramps, making this the highest point on the radiator system. So we're going to fill it up because it's obviously still low. We didn't fill it up enough. But before we do this, just to give myself an extra peace of mind, we're gonna go ahead and do a block test to make sure that there is no head gasket leak. It was a mechanic special, so there's gotta be a reason why they wanted to give it away so cheap. Hopefully, it is the reason that we already think, and that's because of the invoice that we received. To give ourselves a little peace of mind, we're gonna do a block test. To be honest with you guys, I'm a little bit nervous. Seeing that really closed off coolant hose could mean, one, there's some sort of pressure being built up somewhere, somehow, maybe the exhaust, or maybe we just didn't bleed it right. But after seeing that, I'm just a little bit nervous. So we pulled out the block tester, and hopefully we don't have a blown head gasket. But it's a mechanic special, so I should have done this from the beginning, especially when he said it was overheating. So wish me luck. The color is definitely different, but usually it switches to that like yellow color, so maybe we accidentally sucked up some coolant, or I don't know, but it's definitely not the same color, which that's what we're looking for. Yeah, I feel like the color would switch more, but it's still like a blue tint. I don't know, guys. We're gonna try it one more time. Hopefully all the money we spent on the car isn't for nothing. As you can see, the color's staying the same, so I'm pretty sure that the head gasket is still good on the car. Hopefully. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. Coolant's still the same blue color, so I'm pretty sure we're safe. I think it really was just the thermostat. And we are topping off the radiator with some distilled water. Oh, waiting for that little red stick to pop out. There we go. If this stick pops out of the radiator, that means that the overflow tank is full. We'll bleed it out and do everything right this time. We do have a few air bubbles coming out, which means that the system wasn't properly bled. Do it right this time and have working heat and no more overflow tank lights or anything like that. Trying to speed up the process a little bit, pumping the upper radiator hose to get it into the thermostat a little faster. And just like that, all that coolant and water is now at the bottom. All right, opening up the bleeder. And like that, you see we have a steady stream of coolant coming out, no air bubbles. That means the system has been successfully bled. So let's close that back up. And now the heat is blowing extremely hot out of the vents, so I think this is a job well done. So we have a ridiculous amount of code here. So I'm gonna clear them all out because some of them may be due just to me having things disconnected, like the mass airflow sensor we have disconnected. I'm gonna just clear these all out. There you go, the car's fixed. No more check engine light. I've been driving around this BMW for about a month now, and still no check engine lights have popped up, thankfully. So I'm sure you're wondering, how much does a mechanic special BMW E46 go for? And we picked up this boy for 1,000 buckaroos. After all the parts that was listed throughout this video, we are currently at $1,106, way below the $3,500 invoice that the previous owner received to fix up all the issues. We're still not done. We still have this crusty BMW front bumper that we need to replace. And if you have any tips for me to be able to find one, please let me know in the comments down below, because I have been struggling to find the same paint match front bumper. So if you want to see us finish up fixing up this mechanic special BMW, make sure you subscribe down below, and I'll catch you next time. So be sure to head over there now to pick up t-shirts, keychains, and whatever else that we have there. Air fresheners, I think. It's been a while. I haven't been on camera in a minute. I lost my mumbo jumbo.